Tremulak. Greetings, Dovahkiin. Welcome to the show. And today I'm going into the August 2017 Gauntlet Rumble. And I have chosen to go into this with a Crusader deck that will hopefully generate enough aggression to defeat my enemies before they can really react to what I am doing. On that note, several things about the deck that I'd like to go over. First off, I've got quite a few prophecy cards in here, starting with Priest of the Moons, very simple, gain 2 life, 2/2. I've also got the Cloudrest Illusionists, 4/3, summon, something gets -4/-0, which if I'm playing on my turn, I can combo with an Execute, good combination. Piercing Javelin, very great spot removal card. And the iconic Tear. In an attempt to keep cards flowing into my hand, I'm running Eastmarch Crusaders, who will draw a card as long as at least one enemy rune has been broken, and Crusader Assault, which could give me 2 extra cards as long as the creature that I cast it on both slays and deals at least 1 damage to my opponent. Also working in the deck, for that matter, are 2 copies of Thieves Guild Shadowfoots, who steal the top card of my enemy's deck and give it to me in exchange for a counterfeit trinket, which is going to deal a damage to them when they cast it, so that they can draw their next card. I've also got some removal in here with Imprison. I've already pointed out the Executes and the Piercing Javelins. And then the other very important aspect of this deck, and probably one of the most important cards, is actually Imperial Reinforcements, because this fills a lane with 1/1 guys. And if I'm comboing that with 5th Legion trainers, they get +1/+0 to be stronger. Or I am also running the Divine Fervors to give all of my guys +1/+1. So this deck should have a lot of synergy to it. I've also got some healing abilities in it. Bruma Profiteer also combos with that Imperial Reinforcements. Every time a guy comes out, I gain a life. We also saw the Priest of the Moons for some additional life gain. And the other card I've actually got in here to combo with that is Resolute Ally. This can't fail to trigger because every single card in here is willpower based. I'm also running the Black Dragon and Descendant of Alkosh to help with early game. I also want to mention the Cyrodiil Sappers. A 1/3 with Drain may not look like much, but this does have some life gain potential back to it, and with all of the other combinations in here, that can actually get built up. I mean, one thing I've done in several games when I've been playtesting this is to drop Dawnbreaker on one of those, and then suddenly it becomes a 5/8, and that's draining too. So with all that in mind, let's get ready to rumble. And here we go, game number 1. Expecting to see a lot of aggression and counterplays in these rumbles. Agility player, I always want to keep that. The 1/2s with lethal and guard are great things to steal. Now, I unfortunately didn't draw any 1 or 2 drops, and that's sort of disappointing to me, considering I've got quite a few of those in this deck. However, I do have a great turn, either 3 or 4 with this. And you know what? There is absolutely no reason to not play that on this turn. It's a very quiet 2-drop, gains me some life, and generates me board presence, which I do want. Now, in those colors, if my opponent is playing correctly, they're either going to drop a Hissgrove, or the Tree Mender that's going to give them extra magicka. It looks like they're just sort of sitting around here thinking about it. Deciding. Murk-Widow Witch. Interesting. Oh, the Black Dragon. I am going to spend magic off the ring and get that out because that is a 5/5. It's also immune to poison, which is an aspect a lot of people tend to forget. He's throwing a 4/4 in the way. I suppose I could just throw a piercing javelin at that. However, this does look like a good time to bring her out. Because that way, not only do I get rid of the rest of those in his deck, but I also take no damage onto my Black Dragon. And this is going to improve my board state, which is something I really want to do. I mean, I would have preferred to have brought this down there, but a lot of this game is actions and reactions, and I can't just ignore what my opponent is doing. Looks like he had another one of those in his hands. I want to keep the Black Dragon around because it's really good. And let's go ahead and fill up that lane. I don't want to weaken this to the point where a curse could kill this. And that's a 6/6. I've got a couple of options here. I can drop the Divine Fervor and then use the Black Dragon to kill that. Or I can throw the Piercing Javelin at it. I want to keep my Black Dragon around. And it's the attack of the little peoples. Right now this is going pretty good for me. I've got my opponent down to about half of their health, and they've got no board. They have increased their magicka a couple times, which gives them more options. But I've got some nice responses in my hand for any tricks they may throw out there. Not to mention the great thing about these guys is they're completely expendable. I mean, I almost feel like that was a waste on his end. And that was a lot of energy just to remove 2 guys. I can't do anything about that since it was in the shadow lane and had cover, but I wouldn't have attacked it even if I could because I'm trying to keep up the aggression here. Now that'll be either a Soul Tear or the last Drain Vitality, which is going to give everything. Ooh. Opportunity to draw cards. I will take that opportunity. Nice pulls. wish I had the ability to just straight up win next turn, but unfortunately I don't. I am, however, going to make it very hard for him to stop me from winning. 4-5 can easily stop that 2-2, but then he still needs something to deal with that 3-4, or I'm going to put him in one shot of game over. Oh, that'll stop it. It'll also burn almost his whole turnout. And here comes the army. That's not a bad card. Increase my magic, maximum magicka. Really worried he's got that last vitality card though. Breaking his own last rune. He has to sweep my entire field here or I win. And he's going to come real close. Now here's an interesting question. Oh, he actually did it. Does he start attacking me? No. I forgot that was going to gain magicka, but that's actually okay because I've got lethal to him, that is, with these two creatures, so he has to answer both of them. And he does. So now I can use this to steal the charge. And drain off of that. And I'm going to do that. I don't have a lot of reason to not go directly at him. But I actually want to boost this side of the field because this is where I've got my potential win coming from. I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of what does he do about those last two guys I've got in the field, and can I find something to get over that word wall? Skeletal Dragon, another guard. He's bringing that bat back. And I am not having high hopes for winning this at this point. I think that's game. He has gained way too much life back. And has a full board to mine nothing. He's just pushing cards. And I'm done. I'm not getting through that 7-7 batten at this point. And an unfortunate and terrible start. It's interesting, you know, I felt like I missed that game by just so much. So going into game 2, hopefully I'll be able to recover this. Would like to demonstrate a decent showing in the Rumble here. And game 2 commences. That is a much, much better start. I am very happy to see that type of start. Bringing out the 1-3 on turn 1. And he drops a support that lets him generate guards. Interesting. Now my plan here is for this turn to bring this out. And I'm going to stay with that plan. I'm bringing the guys out first because that gives me 4 more life with his ability. And then I've got to make that trade because he gave him guard. Now I just wish I had some way of boosting these guys' power. And he's bringing out a few little dudes of his own. I'm going to trade here. I haven't got a lot of reason not to. Breaking the first rune on my opponent is important for me right now so that I can bring out my Eastmarch Crusader and draw another card. And I'm completely fine playing that this turn. One, 3, draw a card. That was a surprising move. I would have assumed him to have traded there. Bring out the priest and just keep right on going. This game is shaping up a lot in the same way that last game did, where I've got a strong advantage right off the bat. Ooh, I'm actually really glad he brought that down. So Fighters Guild recruit, prophecy, guard, lethal, and here's my favorite answer to that card. Just take them all. I can use this to trade here. He does gain a little life back. Oop, prophecy. Oops, that already attacked. I could shut that 2/2 down, but I'd rather keep the imprisoned for something else that he might throw at me. I mean, I'm swinging too much damage for him to just not try and throw that at one of these 1/1s. Swinging to me for the pilfer effect is great, but not when he's down to just 8 health. 4 0-cost spells. Does that fill his hand? Yeah, that does fill his hand. Little dude with guard. Paralyze. +1/+1 and breakthrough, even though that doesn't stop this. Looks like he's going to hold me off for a turn here. At this point, I'm going to trade with him. I could refill this board. Yeah, let's do that. Feeling pretty confident here. He's got no field out there. I think he still has at least 1 0 drop card in his hand. And I could be claiming victory on my turn easily. I don't feel like that was a very good play. That was a much better play. Unfortunately for him, I've got the answer to that in my hand. In fact, I've got several answers to that in my hand. I'm swinging on this side first to see what happens when I break that rune. And that's my first win. 1 down, 8 to go. I'm going to end this part of the show here, and I hope you will all join me for part 2.